This video is sponsored by Skillshare. The Super Mario Bros. Movie didn't need to be that good. It's an Illumination movie. It's a video game movie. It's a Chris Pratt movie. I was so ready to dogpile on this movie conceptually. It was going to be a great romp of a terrible production, just like back in the 90s, you know? But no, they decided to make an actually good adaptation. So instead of a typical terrible installment here on this channel, we're switching of course to the Scene series. The scene that changed the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2023. And what one is that? Well, like most brilliant productions, there's a handful to choose from. Be it when Luigi comes in clutch with the sewer lid, the end of Act 2 when all seems lost, or perhaps you could argue it's the scene that went viral online with Peaches. Peaches. And though I must resist just focusing on the scene that features the rare Pikmin reference, I'm gonna say that for today, I want to focus on the scene when the conflict finally arrives. It's when Peach finally confronts Bowser for the sake of her kingdom. Just for the sake, there's plenty to talk about there. More so than most other scenes other than just listing out all the Easter eggs and references that every other channel has already done. But first, you may know Skillshare for classes in photography, video editing, illustration, or film. But did you know that Skillshare has hundreds of career-focused classes too? So let's learn how to design a career to fit you, since it's the perfect time to reinvent your goals and yourself. Say you want to explore your creative and career options. With Skillshare, you can learn what it takes to break into the creative industry and take classes to find your creative voice and style. A class that I particularly have my eyes on for this field is Creative Confidence and Silencing Your Inner Critic, which helps to build your creative voice and, most importantly for me, overcoming imposter syndrome that seems to inflict so many of us. Similarly, if you're just starting out, look into how to build a creative career full-time or freelance if one of your goals aligns more with wanting to make creativity your full-time job. I know I have a creative audience and I'd love to be an assistance to letting you reach your own potential. All of this can start for you for free if you're fast enough, as the first 1,000 people to join using my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now, let's get back to it. So to give context, not that you really need to know context for a Mario movie, Bowser has been invading kingdoms across the globe and the Mushroom Kingdom is next. Peach has been making her moves in order to protect the lands, but has pretty much failed at every turn up to this point, even being separated from the definitive spanner in the works. Mario who? Meanwhile, Bowser has been growing in power, finally ready to tackle Princess Peach, but also has a whole ulterior motive unbeknownst to any of the main cast.
I will ask their princess to marry me in a fairy tale wedding!
It's the confrontation of the two most powerful characters in the land, with an underbelly of surprises for how this will turn out to both of them. The scene starts as Peach and Toad take arms in a money shot of walking out of their control room. Peach with an entire halberd and Toad just with a frying pan. All the while the Toads of the Mushroom Kingdom evacuate, leaving behind even their precious apples in urgency. Enter Bowser's influence. First introduced without even seeing anything directly, just those same apples vibrating and the rumbling of his giant castle looming closer. Perfect for representing a dominating force edging closer. You know, it's the classic Jurassic Park shot, fitting since he's a giant oversized turtle. And there it is, pulling all the way back for a full establishing shot. Pathetic fallacy of lightning and darkness for that evil vibe. Not to mention how only his island is moving, as it controls more and more of the frame upon approach, literally overshadowing Peach's castle. But Peach stands to fight it, the determination on her face telling you that she will not back down against this powerful force, even when the next shot shows the odds are so against her with that scale. Such a looming design that doesn't even faze the two of them. By the way, isn't it so great that they adapted this moment to be a Peach moment? Considering this princess is literally the origins of the classic damsel in distress, it is so satisfying to see this kind of tale warped tastefully for a more modern audience. This easily could have been a Mario moment, but by empowering the princess of all people, it can resonate in a way that perhaps would have been lost if she was just always sidelined in comparison to Mario. It fits as Luigi's job better anyway. And so we get it again, this time even more emphasized as the camera works to empower Peach with this craning shot around her, ending on the close-up of her face, while switching to a more angled shot of Bowser's approach against her. Still massive and looming, but as we saw earlier from that focus on her legs, Princess Peach has planted herself and she is not moving. An immovable object has been placed in front of this supposedly unstoppable force. And so he lands. Still leaning in full force on the presentation, it's like Bowser's Island is gonna eat the princess whole. Such a great intimidation factor. Who is Bowser's marketing team? They have this on lockdown. And then it begins. The crowd of Koopas come lining into formation. They have a routine for these things, needing to encapsulate their target, but now that intimidation factor is gone to a minor extent. These are just grunts, fun to watch. And we don't want to scare kids full on with a bunch of horrid monsters that are genuinely aggressive and cruel. Plus, violence isn't Bowser's goal here anyway, as we should have picked up from earlier.
Bitches!
But here he stands, finally, in view for our bare eyes on the scene.
Princess Peach, brave as ever.
And a really cool, consistent effect that this movie chooses to use with a chunk of Bowser's shots when he's on the field is engorging him in flames and adding to that the realistic flair of warping the air around Bowser like heat lines, as if to say that the very air around Bowser is incredibly hot, which also acts to obscure him in a little way, which acts to make him even more empowered as he can't even get a fully clear look at him through this sort of lens. Just a very, very cool technique they use here. Someone in Illumination is very smart.
As you can see, I have the superstar.
First thing you notice in this shot at least is the very in-your-face appearance of Kamek, coming in with a very clear use of that classic magic sound effect from the Mario games. Part of the charm of this movie is how closely it ties into the familiarity of the games, and it's the same here. The shot itself isn't particularly outstanding otherwise. We switch to a shot where you can see the Power Star and Bowser pointing to it, though he is now out of his fiery field. It's come down to Peach's level to an extent and is less overbearing at this point. We're not really freaking out that he's saying he has a Power Star or anything. It's kind of just like, yeah, okay. And as for Peach's response?
If you're going to use it now.
Of course, even if he was still super domineering, she would respond ready to defend. Close up on her and getting closer before pulling back for the full view of her ready to attack. And though they may be unscary grunts, they're trained well to be so on the ball and in sync to match her. But I just love Bowser's reaction to it all. Look at his doofy face. He's a fun kind of villain, not an evil kind. And he has a whole script for this interaction. Though he was imagining more awe and adoration from the star reveal than steadfast defensiveness. Hey, you're about halfway through the video, so if you're not already, subscribe. Look, it's an age-old statistic screenshot. I've also been spending some time investing a good chunk in my TikTok presence, though DazzReviews was taken. So check out DazzReviews 1 if you'd like to see me do more of the influencer thing. We've got things lined up like animated movie quizzes, coverage of IRL events like Comic-Con, and I was even invited to my first movie premiere earlier in the week. So give it a look if you'd like to see some more spin-off side content from me. Not to be confused with the spin-off series over on this main channel. Anyway, enough about me, back to this Power Star.
No, Princess. I stole this star for us.
And you know, everybody already gives chops to Jack Black for his motivation to really get into all of his characters and just have unapologetic fun for his work. You know, really sinking into the character of Bowser and not just playing himself. But a minor thing he's done for this line is bringing his more human tones into his voice rather than his guttural lizard one. So now, Bowser sounds more to the ground as he tries to explain his actions. Easily a note from the director, but it works so well to show that Bowser is trying to humanize himself as he addresses Peach with more of a whisper. As she stands static in this over-the-shoulder shot, Halberd already long pushed to the side.
I guess love really makes a guy come out of his shell.
Didn't think I'd ever see Bowser's eyebrows flirtatiously, but there it is. I'll be keeping that, thank you. The camera mildly panning to the side as Bowser gestures with his hands, to make things feel more grounded and like a handheld shot as the camera tries to keep him in all of the shot from the same angle. It'd be weird if we suddenly cut to a wider shot just for that, you know? And also, this moment becomes all about him, so that non-contributing Peach can be slid off to the side of the frame anyway.
I told you that line wouldn't work.
You're doing great.
And now the L word has been dropped, Peach expectedly doesn't reciprocate. And that insecurity of Bowser starts to crack through. Just look at his face. How do I see Jack Black in that face? And the appearance of Kamek is now backed up, not just as Bowser's side lackey, but as his supervisor who gave him the advice to use that awful line in the first place. I love how we don't even turn to him, it's just a lone thumbs up that appears in the corner of the frame. So many niceties put into each shot for what's needed, what's not, and what's best for some lighthearted comedy. On to Bowser's expository ramble.
We will be invincible. We can rule the world together. Forever.
And I love how he still has that overly dramatic romantic flair to him, just completely out of touch to the desires of Peach and the damage he's brought to her kingdom. All shot still at that over-the-shoulder shot. It's intimate, but not too intimate. Fitting as Bowser wants intimacy while speaking directly to Peach, but she is not on board. Though I love how he also starts this whole explanation by even calling her Peaches.
Peaches, with this star.
No longer is he this dominant, invasive species, but an idiot of a villain character. Expressive and unharmful in the face despite the fiery background behind him. A spectacle of friendly and evil, and finally culminating in his final sentence.
Will you marry me?
Marry you? Are you insane? I would never marry you.
And there's your cataclysmic moment at the center of this event. The worst you could say is no, am I right? But now we finally switch up our camera angles again. Since Peach needs to speak, she needs a shot of her own. It's the same one from earlier. I mean, standoffs are pretty static, so I guess there's not too much room for diversity, but it's a high angle down on her as Bowser is still that tall, empowered figure when you physically look at this scene. She's still surrounded by Koopas armed with spears. And as she speaks, she does briefly lose her stance from the sheer dumbfoundedness of this proposal, before diving right back into defensive mode, now even more so than before. Peach chooses violence like she was probably always going to.
Maybe you should reconsider.
And just like that, Bowser returns to his initial overbearing state. With just a single blink, he switches from hurt and insecure to uncaring and cunning. To be fair, that probably comes more naturally to him anyway. Now shot is just a close-up on him and at a low angle to juxtapose against Peach's shot, as well as present him back as the evil boss character that we know him as. Not even needing to move his arms to make his next move, just a glance down with his eyes and he has prepared Kamek's responsive magic, swinging the camera around to spot Toad being enwrapped by it. Now we've got blackmail to the list of invasive techniques. All the background blurred as it has been this entire time to really hone our attention to the foreground. Plus it's generally been doing wonders with that backing of fire that Bowser has going on his shots.
Please stop! I'll marry you, just don't hurt my toads!
So now we switch to the response. Again, switching to close-ups, but for the other party. First Peach's face as she turns in reaction, the shock of it all. And then the shock of it all literally as a sort of two-shot. She dives straight to Toad, sapping herself in the process. And again, the camera pans as we're at this semi-handheld perspective across this entire scene. All to establish that Toad is lost and Peach cannot save him herself. And though she starts pleading in that same shot, nothing changes, as Bowser stands proud of himself very briefly. Cutting again to Toad down low, continuing to suffer. It all goes very fast, but it's a quiet back and forth of negotiating, before we settle on this two-shot of Peach and Toad where she gives in to all of his demands. Though, nice attention to detail that you can kinda read Peach's thought process with her eyes. Her head even looks kinda warped in the despair of it all, like one of those fisheye lens shots, though I think it's just the squash and stretching of her head on the model. As much as I'm sure the internet would love to add another one of those kind of shots to their collection. Again, just a simple gesture. Barely even a hand motion at all from Bowser, and Kamek stops. Look at his goofy smile. There is not a semblance of empathy behind those psychopathic eyes. Leaving Peach to come to Toad's aid now that he is freed and the deal has been made. This confrontation of Princess versus Turtle has officially been lost. Not through brute force aggression, but diplomacy. Perhaps the one thing Princess Peach was ill prepared for. Or maybe it would have always happened since she did bring a Toad to a fight.
You have my word.
Time to complete the deal. With a handshake, you heathens! Bowser now shot perfectly as he reaches out his hand to finish the deal. Glistening, shining, and still wrapped in the fire behind him, as Peach succumbs to it. Sighing beside Toad's head and standing out of the frame. It's no longer about her face and her expressions, but her actions, as she loses her individuality to become another enslaved member of Bowser's growing kingdom.
I'm through it!
Cut to a wide as the event at this spot has ended, and we're all on the move. Power Star standing above it all as the source of all this conflict, as Peach heads towards the looming Badlands of presentation. Bowser ecstatic, as are all the goons, to help lighten the mood, as Peach's perspective doesn't really matter anymore. They've won, that's all they care about. And from there we catch an update on Toad as he's being dragged behind them all as their additional win piece. And the rest of the scene fades to black. It's the bad ending on Peach's front as the confrontation has been had and lost. So I guess she does still sort of become a damsel in distress again, but more so with a backing of determination and strength rather than, oh no, energy. From here, it's all up to Mario, again, to save his brother and the princess. Oh, actually no, the princess saves herself at the wedding anyway. Great stuff. This was the runner-up scene we were to break down anyway. It just went on a little too long for a dissection for me. Though why did they put her in a gothic choker? Did they have any idea what the internet would do with that kind of imagery? Anyway, this catalytic point was the scene that changed the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2023. Not only is it the culmination of adapting Princess Peach from a weak trophy to be saved to a more solid and standalone character, but is also the meeting of our two unmovable forces, with the emotional twist in the middle. And it has plenty of techniques interwoven in it that I just wanted to address. Honestly, I could talk about this movie and its other scenes plenty more, and maybe I will, depending on demand. But for now, I'd best end it off here. My name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.
Kinda.
I'd never marry a monster.